guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Okay.
I'm
Can we just continue the conversation? I thought we were live, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought we were live because I was in here. I came in.
Oh, we are now.
Okay. Well, anyway, what were you talking about with that movie?
Hey everyone, welcome to Anonymous Bites Back here. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, that was pretty much it. Yeah, we're going to discuss a World Refugee Day and Free Commander X, but we're actually discussing a virus now, so we can do that first.
Yeah, so we were talking about the movie Contagion, for people who don't know.
The Michael Crichton book, right?
Yeah, what was Michael?
The Chinese SARS virus that was created in a lab.
Yeah, but they say that in the movie the virus has mutated into bats and then it spreads to humans, and there's a huge pandemic, and
there's something that people really need to understand is that it's a zooptic virus. Okay, it's able to transmute from human to animal, and it wasn't able to do this before. And let me tell you something, that doesn't just happen overnight. It's not something that happens.
It doesn't just happen in a decade.
No, it's not even a decade. It takes millions of fucking years.
Yeah,
so it's just complete bullshit to think that one day this person ate a bat at some fucking market and it became a zooptic fucking virus. That's a bunch of garbage. It's lies.
Yeah, no,
It's complete fucking nonsense. And anybody that believes that shit has never studied virology whatsoever, which I have.
Yeah, that plus, I mean, it's an insult to our intelligence.
Yeah, it's an insult. It's just common fucking sense. You know what I mean? You don't even need to be a genius. You don't need to study virology. It's just common sense.
They were taking bats. They were taking bats from a cave in China. It was the Hunan cave, and that's the same. There's the same area of where this lab was in Wuhan. It's not too far. Anyway, they were taking bats that were infected with SARS, and then Xi Jinping was removing the S protein and replacing it with the S protein of HIV.
Really?
And, yep.
Which HIV is known for its mutation rate as well.
Yep.
Which is very high. Almost considerably more so than the flu.
And their goal here was literally to create a virus that was cross-species, and it had no cure. And
Publish changes. There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, talking to myself.
So basically, they created a virus in a lab, and there's all this fucking. You could go back to I think it was 2008 or 2010, somewhere around there, and they've been doing this research for years, man, years, and they had successful results in rats where they did not have a cure. They then tested it on monkeys, and
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They did all sorts of trials to see if they could make a vaccine through
yep,
animals, and it was not possible. It's because, for one, generating sequences that can actually, that can replicate, other RNA type viruses is just pretty much impossible because of how much it mutates. It's just not
right,
possible. As far
right.
as our science is, we are not advanced enough, if it's even possible, to generate an RNA sequence. Because it would have to be something that is going to predict what it will be in the next 5 fucking minutes. You know what I mean? In the next 5 fucking minutes, and that's not going to happen. It's just a
Well,
bunch of
what we really need, and to even be able to start to try and decipher this and figure out a way to stop it is quantum computing, and we're not to that point.
it would be quantum computing, and it would be like using networks of and people like they've already
Yep.
been doing stuff like this actually, but it's not enough. I don't think
It's not advanced enough. Yeah.
no, it's not. We're not going to be able to do anything about it. Like maybe in the next 100 fucking years. You know what I mean?
Um.
Unless
Yeah.
they just put all research and efforts into such, into those sorts of things.
Yeah. I mean, the issue is here is that that you're not going to be able to combat something where it's mutating that fast.
Yeah, you have to predict what it'll be in the next 2 to 3 fucking years. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Which isn't going to fucking happen right now.
Combat something.
Yeah, we
Especially
don't-
considering the fact that it's all just a big guinea pig experiment anyway, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know if it was deliberate. I don't know if it was accidental.
No, I don't think they're
I will
deliberately
say-
doing it. I feel like they're doing it because they're desperate. That's what I think. Because I think the virus. I think honestly, looking at the proteins and stuff like that, and just how much it mutates, damn thing's a ticking time bomb. Just think about what's going to happen when that actually does do a DNA, mutation. Like what's going to happen? It's going to
Yep.
either do one of two things. It's going to become less dangerous because it can go either way, or it's going to become deathly, one or the other, or it's just going to get even better at concealment. But eventually, it's going to have a DNA mutation. It's just the laws of probability. It's just going to happen, and who knows when? It could be tomorrow. It could be next month. It could be 2-3 years from now. But it's going to happen.
Right. Well, I think in general, when this thing has been mutating so far, is that it has gotten less deadly and more contagious. So far so good in my opinion.
That's a good point.
It has gotten more contagious and less deadly depending on where. There is reports that I saw of more deaths happening in, I think it was the UK, and there's another country too. But besides that, so far so good. And I believe there was one country that didn't even get one case of the virus, and I think that was New Zealand.
Really,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I think. I have to look that up. There was at one point one country.
Guys, let me answer real quick some questions from the chat. And like one is from Matt Mamanon asking if we're actually live this time. Yeah, we're live. And maybe you did notice that they killed the other video we did earlier today for medical misinformation. So that other channel is completely fucked now. And second, someone in the Rockfin chat is asking if we'll discuss DDoS secrets, and we probably will.
Well, and
Discuss what?
we have before, as when their servers got raided, the same, like the day that or the weekend that X got arrested and kidnapped and renditioned, and the same weekend that Marty G's fundraiser went down, the same like weekend that Barrett got sealed charges. Yeah, the DDoS secrets servers were raided.
Yeah, well, and
the
also,
Twitter account was taken down.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jones.
oh yeah, I was gonna say real quick. There was also, oh gosh, I forgot which like
I'm gonna look for some updates on that.
I forgot which like news group it was, but they put out a clip. It was like a Mexican press group. They put out a clip describing describing the illegal rendition of Commander X.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because about 58 seconds into that video, they basically said 3 days after Kamala Harris's visit to Mexico, blah, 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 he gets arrested. So if they're going to be filming it like that,
That's an interesting one.
yeah.
That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence at all. That's, yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually think I can. Let's see. This is the right one. Yes, it is. Hold up. Let me pull it up. And then share screen.
I'm like really
Share
pissed off.
audio.
We're losing episodes for medical misinformation now. The fuck, man. We can't even give our opinions anymore.
Where are we?
Mejor conocido como el Comandante X.
It's
Una
gonna
de
come
las
up in
pocas
like
caras
8
visibles del
seconds
grupo
here.
de
Just listen
ciberactivistas.
up.
Tenía más de 3 años viviendo públicamente en México, donde, según él, contaba con asilo político, pero fue detenido el viernes en la Ciudad de México, 3 días después de la visita de la vicepresidenta Kamala Harris al país.
I don't know if y'all caught that, but he said, they basically said he was detained on Friday, 3 days after the visit of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Is it Kamala or Kamala?
Okay.
Kamala.
Oh my god.
Camillary.
Okay. Technically, it's Kamala, but you know, people say Kamala, but technically it's Kamala because now we care about the pronunciation of the name, you freaking fuckwads.
But why is it Kamala?
What do you mean?
Why is it not Kamala?
Because if you pronounce it Kamala, it's usually a dude's name.
Oh.
At least in the different part of the world.
This is like this question is like literally it's far more interesting than the actual stuff she does.
That comes out of her mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, except for the stuff that comes out of her mouth is always like incredibly telling because she's got the duper's delight. She lets all of the evil slip without knowing it. They telegraph a lot of their bullshit, and it's, you know, if you could suffer through a little bit of it, sure.
Yeah. Well, and there's also the incredibly just useless photo ops where it's like, you know, okay, so this might be a niche thing, but you know how when you go on social media and you'll see a bunch of like bench players posting pictures of like their shoes and a basketball in the gym, like in the lab or like on the grind, or just a series of check marks, and it's like, dude, I know you ain't do shit. You just wanted the picture for the clout. That's what Kamala Harris is doing.
That's what they all do. That's politics, and we saw that a lot with Trump with a lot of setups, and we saw that just recently with Biden as well. We saw how Biden literally admitted on video, as saying that his press, his choosing his press questions were all already finalized and organized. So he's not just randomly picking journalists out of the crowd. He's picking people that were already predetermined.
Oh, but of course.
But that's what they do.
Obviously, that's what you have to do, AK. You organically, non-organically select the questions that will best help to bolster your image and foment any sort of controlled opposition, because you got absolute fucking nuts for White House press reporters. Oh my God, Putin, why are you so scared of Navalny? Fuck out of here. Why are both of you scared of Commander X? Why are you so scared of Julian Assange? Biden? Oh wait, we already know what you think about Biden. You think about freaking Julian Assange. You think he's a high-tech terrorist, you fucking cunt.
Sleepy Joe's afraid of everybody.
So, hey, look, just one more thing about the DDoS secret servers getting raided. This keeps happening. It happened last year. I think it happened in like January or February too.
Well, I'm very. I know who runs it and
Yeah.
everything for the most part. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say anything, but anyway, I'm very suspicious of them getting raided, having their servers raided, but no arrest.
Hey,
The
but it
servers
isn't the
got
big
raided
secret.
in-
It is the big secret who runs it, right? I mean, they're saying it openly on Twitter.
Yeah.
the servers got raided in Germany, right?
In Germany anyway.
So that's where the servers were at least last year. I don't know if they moved them again, but I know that where they had blue leaks, those were on German servers.
They were on German servers, and everybody said to them that basically
Don't do that.
don't run your servers in Germany because
Right.
there was other raids that happened on servers in Germany, and that Germany was not considered to be a good place to run those servers. But what I'm wondering here is what was the recent leak that they released that caused this raid?
Do you remember?
No.
Because
I
they
haven't been
just
paying attention.
published the flight logs of an Latin American airline from from Peru and Colombia from like 2016 to 2020.
But what is
No.
that proving?
I don't know. I haven't looked at them, but Peru, there just had or is still having a contested presidential election, even though Pedro Castillo won. Keiko Fujimori is a legacy sociopath
Right.
and has all of the like outside interests and consortiums in her pocket. So there could be a number of really, really shady flights to Peru. There could be a number of really shady flights to Colombia because let's face it, it's Colombia.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just
They're already up again, by the way. They're up, the DDoS secrets. I'm just saying.
yeah, they have a network. I'm not denying they don't have a network to be able to keep bringing this back up. What I'm saying
Well,
is,
they're in Amsterdam now.
well, I don't. Yeah, but
The greenhouse.
I just wonder why they're getting rated for. Well, Blue Leaks. I mean, that made sense. I mean, I thought there was going to be arrest over that. It never did happen, and there was people that were involved with it that were scared of it. And I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't support them getting getting taken down for or being raided.
No.
Or anything like that, even though that they have gone after Julian.
Yes.
And it's a karma thing. It's a hypocrisy thing. It's oh well, we criticized WikiLeaks and we wanted to run our own thing. But
Maliciously, dude, she was vile.
yeah.
Vile.
And, I was vile back, and
So,
I was
real
vile
quick,
back
though,
because
when they started this and they announced that they had servers in Germany, and then they got arrested, like we were like, well, that sucks. But even when we heard that the servers
never
were in
any
Germany,
arrest.
we were saying, why would you do that if you're legitimate about this?
there
If
was
you're-
never any arrest. There was a raid, but there was never any arrest.
So are they just collecting data and trying to figure out who was responsible for the leaks in the first place? Is that what the whole thing is in general? Is it just a data collection operation for intelligence? Every time they raid the servers, they get to find out more and more about who's leaking the information, and that's what...
I don't know. I just know that I thought it was very weird that there was never an arrest that happened with something like that. Because typically what the government would do. I mean, the U.S. government would go after them, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I just know that I would like to know what they leaked to trigger something like that, because flight logs I don't think would trigger something like that. I saw something about NATO, which that would trigger something like that. I mean,
Well, there's like, yeah, okay. Like, do we go into the rumor mill or what we know about these actual people, or what do you want to do?
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go into rumor mill and throw
No.
people under the bus and everything like that right
Okay.
now. I just want to observe what's happening and he's breathing really heavy. What the fuck?
I think that's not Barrett.
My mic is too close to my fucking mouth.
Oh,
Your
Jesus.
mouth breather,
What
not
the
Barrett.
fuck, dude? I was like, what is going on, man? I just hear somebody breathing really heavy.
Well, I didn't even see the blue lights lighting up on my thing.
I
so
didn't either. Yeah, that's why I was like, who the hell is that?
Yeah,
Jack's
so
over there mouth breathing.
Yeah, I don't know. Just so much mouth breathing going on.
Yeah, fucking.
Well, I mean, anyway, I just want to know. I just want to watch and observe it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to push anything. I'm not going to be. What the hell was that?
That was Rory being a fucking child. And trying really hard to not say that's what she said. That's what that was.
I see. All right. Anyway.
Germany doesn't make sense. I think about it actually Hetzner and stuff, and like no, that get. We remember that like a few months before they actually started that site and started hosting it in Germany, that Cyber Guerrilla was raided in Germany.
Yeah.
Cyber Gorilla, that sounds familiar.
Not only CGAN getting raided, but also you remember the WikiLeaks documents that came out.
Can you send me a link to Cyber Gorilla?
Yeah, but they lost everything. But okay, I will send you.
Talking about Germany and how the U.S. used Germany's embassy as a signet HQ. If you remember that, and that just shows how close the U.S. is to Germany. So I would not trust Germany with servers like that.
No, you go to the country next to it, in the Netherlands. You don't go to Germany.
Yeah, the Netherlands is the best place to host anything spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, like absolutely, like they don't give a fuck about nothing, dude.
No,
Well,
for these
thing,
issues,
like-
no.
Well, here's the thing for just future reference. I mean, do these guys know how the Pirate Bay operated years ago, where they were running servers underground? And when they got raided,
Bahnhof, you mean in Sweden?
Yeah. Well, the police when they went to raid them, they just found nothing there, and then they left, and they had no idea that the servers were actually under them the whole entire time. So, I mean, if you're going to run something like this, you do it through Visor Tuglers. Okay.
You'll have to kick. Where's the mod? I think that's Steve. You'll have to kick the one that's got the little gray circle with the. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so when they were running the servers, I mean, they when they went to go raid them, every single time they went to raid them, it did not show up anything because they looked all around and could not find the servers, and they were actually under them the whole entire time.
Yeah, but that's why they actually went after the people involved, right? Like Anakata and stuff.
Yeah, right.
So Anakata was arrested, and then we had the whole campaign of Free Anakata back then.
Yeah. So we had Anakata that was arrested, and then we had Stun, and who else was arrested in that? I don't even remember off the top of my head. But anyway, main point is that they were running servers under the ground because they knew what they were doing. But even though they knew what they were doing, and they were running the ability for people to download pirated information, it was actually legal in Sweden at the time. I don't know if it still is. There was no piracy laws in Sweden.
Yeah.
Well, wait.
There are now. No, but back then there was it was 2014 and stuff. That is when the European Court of Justice, I said it before, Court of Justice ruled in favor of linking to material. So they were able to host it because it was the Svensson arrest. Is what it was called, a big lawsuit that was taken to the European Court of Justice, and that court ruled that all content that's already published somewhere else can safely be linked to, because you're not creating a new audience, so you're not creating additional money loss for copyright holders.
They've already proven that there's no money loss really from piracy anyway.
Yeah, but that law is now overturned with with ACTA 2, right, in 2019.
Right. Yeah. That's why I said now it is actually illegal.
Yeah.
But back then it wasn't. Back then they could do it legally, but they still got raided, and they had the servers that were underground. But my main point here is what they're doing. They shouldn't be using servers. They should be using a blockchain for it, and they should be distributing nodes, distributing nodes,
Was it through a Freudian
distributing
trigger?
nodes, distributing nodes, so it can be actually uncensorable, and immutable. And I don't understand.
I've actually had an idea like that already. Actually,
Yeah, well, that's the future of actual leaking software is to run a distributed node software like that, and to allow content to be shared on the blockchain itself, and not. I would say honestly, I would say it's a combination between torrent technology, magnet technology, and blockchain technology, where the the actual how do I explain this? The actual data is hosted on torrents, right? And it's also stored on the blockchain as well. But um, it would be basically immutable because of the as long as somebody's seeding those torrents, it would be stored on the actual blockchain. It wouldn't be able to take it down, and that's how you would actually run something like that. A distributed leaking organization such as local leaks or DDoS secrets or anything. We need those for the ability to have a free and open society, and to stop dictatorships from rising. So they're all very well needed organizations, but the question is here with DDoS secrets is what the hell did they leak that caused them to get raided again?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Like I said, I saw something about NATO.
Yeah, like I'm not. I'm just saying like, oh, there's so much other material on there that was already on there. I'm just saying like, why was that still on there? They got rated before, and then the material is up again, right? Now they got rated for other material. Like, does the other material that was already on there no longer matter or something? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, when you get rated or whatever with your website, all the material gets removed, etc. Right? In this case, you get rated, and the data is there still. It's allowed to remain there or something. Then you have new data, you get rated again, and then a month later the data is there again still. And then you wait for a new rate, and you wait for a new data, and you get rated again over that new data. And all the data that they were rated before in the past over can stay on the website. Like, that's the kind of thing that doesn't really make sense to me, but I'm not sure what goes on.
Right.
But
No, you're right, and Jack just commented something too, and I just want to say is all torrents are DHT protocol, which is distributed hash table, and combining those two technologies, combining both blockchain and DHT,
that's all magnet links are. Is they're just hashes that lead back to the trackers, which the trackers know where the seeds are, and then the seeds get plugged into your client. That's all it is. It's really simple.
Right. Yeah, and combining that technology with blockchain, which I believe also, although it's not set up how I'd want it for privacy purposes of not being able to know.
It's hard to do because you have to stream so many different things at once, and everything has to be tracked. It's hard to do it otherwise.
There's a BitTorrent protocol that is on Tron, but it's not set up how I would want it.
to get rid of TPV here, they also went after the news servers, right? The binaries. They did that too. They went after that too. Like the old the binaries, right? The old news servers.
Fuck's sake.
You're saying you're saying the old what was it called? Newswire? No, it's not Newswire. It's news. Oh my god, man! I can't remember what those were. What it was called? It was a P2P program called News something. I just can't remember what it was.
No, you could download the binaries and then you could convert them to the actual content later on. Like they were just hosting binary code.
Right.
Like there was nothing on there, right? You just had to convert it yourself on your computer. You could just.
Pretty extreme.
Yeah. Those were the news groups, right?
Thank you, news groups. I couldn't remember what the hell it was called, dude. I was like, what like.
And this was already that's the early days of the internet. Like I got just like my first broadband connection, and it was like
converted from binary to what?
Well, it was you could lead like this was called a news group. Like you could
This
just
must have been like a really long fucking time ago.
yeah. I just had a brother. This was 1998, and it was there, and it had like all
That's a long fucking time ago.
all dot binaries, and it would leech it, and then it would convert it, and it would have like a new
Right.
new movie, right?
Yeah.
Like illegal movies and stuff.
That were in binary. That is something.
Yeah, he's right. It was back in the late '90s and also going into the early 2000s. Around like LimeWire and what the hell was that other one? Email and all that.
Binary data would take up less space and be faster to download.
Yeah, it was super fast download, like max speed of the connection.
So what if you could build something in the blockchain that transferred the binary data and converted it automatically to the client?
Compromised? Are you sorry? Talking to myself.
What is compromised?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, so I just got my Wikipedia account. Well, one of them
Nah.
banned from editing again because okay. So for context, Ben Simmons, who's an NBA player, he smoked a layup, and like smoked means like you missed a wide open layup, and it was really bad. So a bunch of sports fans were going to the Shanghai Sharks page and adding him to their roster. So I'm like, hey, traffic on this page is super high. So I went to that page and added edits about Julian Assange and Commander X. And like I knew they would block me from editing, but then the dude who blocked me from editing, freaking the earwig, comes on and says, not sure what you're doing, but I blocked this account under suspicion that it might be compromised. What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
They're by hackers.
Hackers.
Yeah, they compromise your account, the hackers, and put in stuff about Julian
Editing
Assange.
Wikipedia pages is like the least hacker thing you can do.
You should just abuse that and say that you got the account back and got the hacker off, so he'll unblock your account. I'm just saying.
Why do that though when I have like 5 others that haven't been
I don't know
blocked
why.
yet?
I didn't know. you
Well,
had five
because then
others.
you would have 6.
Let me give you an advice, Glory, that they won't error card. I did this in the past. You have to make these super small edits, you're saying.
Yeah, that's not my style.
No, I know you like shit posts and stuff, but you have to make super small edits.
All you had to do was just add free Commander X and free Assange at the bottom, and they would never fucking done anything.
Yeah, that's not.
I know that's not your style. Yeah.
You gotta make noise, man. I like to be loud sometimes, don't I, Lovey?
Don't worry, I'll be subtle with the other ones.
Yeah. Apparently, he likes to be loud. We had a fun conversation.
You did like 10 hours, you guys, right? Yeah, that's nice.
No more than 10.
Bro, that thing said 10 hours on it, but it wasn't. But that was being counted from also
Oh yeah,
that was
only
kept-
10 hours.
That was from the show too. The show was
Yeah.
like 6.
So it's probably like, I don't know. It was like 7 in the morning. We stopped, and then I did a little work, and I fell asleep at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know how the fuck you weren't tired, man. That's all I got.
Bro,
to
I
say.
don't really sleep that much, bro.
I don't
sleep
know
like
how.
I sleep like 3 to 4 hours a day, and then if I stay up for 3 days straight, then I'll sleep for about solid 8 hours most of the time.
Oh, that's right. We were on for fucking ever yesterday. And then I did like 2.5 hours over on Marcus and.
Bro, you sent that guy here, bro. Why'd you do that?
Because
What was that? No.
You should have at least said something first. It's
I
like, hey, this
did.
guy
I
could-
told John,
Did you
and I
realize-
fucking.
Did you realize that he had a threat directly to the LPD on his goddamn Twitter account, dude?
That's
To
why he
the
got
who?
raided.
This guy came on there, he said like, I just got raided. I'm here with ABB.
And I said, why? And he's like tried to explain that he was organizing things. And I go to his Twitter page and I see he's holding a shotgun and it says something about, I dare you, LPD, or something like that. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, wait,
God.
what? I was like, what the fuck, Steve?
Which
Are
is
you
pretty
trying to get a
satire, but
fucking
like
raided?
they're not gonna take
Oh,
it that
bro,
way.
he's a licensed gun owner.
Okay, but you can't post on social media a threat against the police.
I'm not saying he's a smart licensed gun owner, but he's a pretty well-known activist and has been getting heavily fucked with for quite a while now.
Well, he definitely shouldn't be making posts like that, and he wouldn't have
Well,
to.
that's
I got
fair.
no problem with the guy.
No, I
dude.
don't have a problem with him
seemed,
either.
he seemed straight and level-headed,
Yeah,
but then I
he
saw
did.
that fucking post, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair.
No, he seemed like a good guy. He just got always.
And I knew that he had been raided, which is why I wanted to talk to him. And then, like, I had already said I was gonna go do another show. He wasn't coming on. And then, like, right when I was going over there, he's like, "Okay, yeah, what's the link?" And so I told Jones, and I thought that she would communicate that.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see the message until he hopped on.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're lucky, I guess, that we're using like a private server to do this, right? Just saying. Takes a little
I'm
longer.
not even using a VPN or anything.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about that. I mean, it's just I mean, that's what Barrett did, and when Barrett did that, he got fucking raided and arrested. And I was like, thinking back,
What did he do?
he threatened a fucking FBI agent, whether it was justified or not. I mean, regardless,
You shouldn't do it anyway. You shouldn't do that. I mean,
you shouldn't go on a live stream and make a threat that can be used against you in court. Yes, I agree.
You just give a disclaimer that we're just doing satire, right? You just have to give the disclaimer seriously about it. I mean, it is. I know it sounds funny and stuff, but you can't just do that. Like, we're allowed to give disclaimers like that. So,
yeah, I mean, you can make a joke, but I mean, you can't directly. It's a difficult situation. I mean, I get why he came on and was talking about being raided, but I was like, dude, I was like, you're an organizer. Okay, well that makes sense if you're getting raided. But then I saw the video and I was like, that's the reason for the fucking raid. It's obvious.
I don't know, dude. I helped organize a lot of protests in the past and like never got raided, but I think I did get watched by the feds. But like all they did was watch me. I was also only like 15 or 16, so like I don't think they were even allowed to come and talk to me. So.
Well, you're pretty young then, for all with
I
protests.
think they will though.
They didn't come talk to me. They just sat out in their fucking van because you know how the feds are. They don't hide. They're just sitting out their fucking van. You know what I mean? So, like,
And then they put out flashlights on you too. It's like, dude,
you saw me.
Yeah.
I think all they did was monitor my network, like because you can like if you run Wireshark, you can actually tell whenever there's packets being injected into your network. So like,
yeah, well they don't use Wireshark, but yeah, they use the more. I mean,
no.
Wireshark
Wireshark is what you use to do the analysis on the network. It's not.
Well, would they like tap it directly from your connection or like from the neighborhood you're living in, right? And then just.
Yeah, they just fucking scan the air, bro. That's all they do.
Oh yeah,
That's all they do is like all. And then what they do is they try and inject packets, and then the packets can return information by probing those packets into midair, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true for recon of what they do for recon information.
Yeah, because they thought I was a spooky hacker or something for some reason. They said they were looking for a hacker. Is what they said.
They make a lot of shit up, these people.
Yeah, no, that's what's looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
There's videos of like cops detaining people, and then like in the audio, I forgot who it was that released it. I think it was a journalist in LA, but he released a video that came from Portland, I think, of someone's phone was still recording shit while the cops seized it, and it caught them literally making up charges. They were like, "Oh, what can we say? What can we say? Damage of property? Nah. What about loitering? Is that a thing? Like, oh, man, you know, we might want to get him on blocking traffic, but ooh, you know, we'll go with damage of property and shit like that."
Hey guys, I hear a lot about Portland. Is that like some kind of like USA war zone there?
Is a war zone? What?
I always hear like about Portland. There's always stuff going on in Portland.
Portland,
That's true.
yeah. Portland has been one of the heavy contention zones. How do I explain this without it's been a heavy contention zone between Antifa and the right and far right. And the
I don't
reason
even know if there's a big far right presence there, though. That's the thing. Because
no,
I'd almost say
they come in there. They come in there on buses and everything. Yeah, I know about that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a heavy contention zone like that.
13 hours ago, there's a port. Someone died in a shooting. Just 13 hours ago.
Yeah, Portland's been gotten pretty bad.
It was someone.
The city.
I wouldn't want to live there. It's like
No,
they're fighting all the time.
No, Portland's gotten really bad. I mean, crime rate in the U.S. has usually been kind of focused on like the eastern and western parts of the states, but Portland's been getting pretty bad now. But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. I thought this is a really in-depth video. There was a video that came out not too long ago, a few days ago, where cops went into a restaurant and tried to force the restaurant workers to make them a sandwich, and they refused or something. I forget why, but they refused and then arrested them for not making them a sandwich. And it's like caught all on camera. Oh man, this is such an abuse of power.
Oh, the Proud Boys are there. No wonder. A bunch of idiots. Well, they
Oh,
are.
the
I remember
Proud Feds,
the
nice.
the fucking Proud Boys are a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Proud Feds.
They
Proud
tried
Boys.
to join our shit back then a long time ago, and they're just a bunch of fucking morons.
Yeah,
Right.
they're either idiots who can't spot a kettle to save their lives, or they're feds. And then there's a small
also-
percentage
they're
of
also-
them that
they're
are
also
somewhat
racist as
genuine people.
Yeah, there's a small
Oh,
percentage.
you
of them,
don't
but a
think
lot
I
of
don't
them-
know that?
A lot of them are racist as shit. I talked to them.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I talked to them too and figured that out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Right.
like
There's
on
a
there,
controlled
like,
political
Got a
left and
handle
right.
on that the first go round. Yeah.
a bunch of fucking
Yeah.
racists. Under
They're just the controlled political left and right fighting each other.
But
so.
yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm gonna say that, like, I bet a number of Proud Boys that you would be like hard pressed to call racist, but nationalist and not into foreigners. Definitely. Even if they are, they're like, there's a comedian that does a joke about the minute Cubans get into Miami, they're like, yeah, build the fucking wall, yo. Too many goddamn immigrants coming in
Now, as
here.
an
We need to do
expert,
something right now.
now as an expert in Gusanology,
Analogy.
yeah,
You know what I mean, Jones. It's
I-
exaggerated because it's a joke. You don't have to pick it apart like it's a fucking term paper. It's a goddamn joke. A lot of Cubans get conservative. There's a lot. They're all gusanos. We know that. We know. Or predominantly. Don't want to shame any legitimate downtrodden Haitian Cuban.
But yeah,
Anyone
you're
who
right.
arrives here.
You're very right in regards to the Proud Boys. How they have a mixture of very racist ideologies and it's nationalism, yes, but it's mixed with racism. It's not just being proud of your nation and all of that. I mean, it like Jack said. I mean,
It's hyper-nationalism that absolutely 100%, if not, like, has being attractive to racist elements baked into it and part of the recruiting, then it's the first and immediate and lasting byproduct of the rhetoric built around it. Lots of dark-skinned motherfuckers in the black and yellow especially up in fucking Portland.
Yeah.
You realize that
See.
when they're racist like that, they're actually destroying their own nationalist beliefs, their own nationalist future, right?
Right.
If you want a united country, you want everyone in that country to actually be united in your country. Like, yeah, that's how you
Yeah, I
create
mean,
it.
we're not gonna get the thing that some of these people have to realize is that even the most racist is that there's no way we're getting an ethno state. That's just not gonna happen.
The way
Yeah,
we're getting a what?
An ethno state.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. Some of these guys are actually pushing for that, and that's the issue is that the actual like real white supremacist organizations have infiltrated their movement, and they don't do anything about it because they push the same fucking ideologies, and that's why in Portland these guys have contested, and I believe where was Heather Year killed? Wasn't that Portland?
Charlottesville.
That was Charlottesville. Well, I mean, all the Proud Boys
that was
are
Charlottesville.
like Western chauvinists, regardless of whether they're racist or not. On top of that, they're definitely Western chauvinists. Talking about like, and I had a conversation with one of them too, where you're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a Western chauvinist. I celebrate the greatness of the West." Mind you, I'm standing there in like a Julian Assange shirt, and I'm like, "Okay, dude, we're gonna have a conversation here. You're gonna get educated on some shit." And at the end of the day, we ended up agreeing on a lot of shit, but not all conversations go like that, obviously.
No, right. But so what happened in Portland? There was a statue, I think. That there was a whole statue monument celebration or something about trying to protect the statue in Portland, and then Antifa and the Proud Boys clashed. And they've been clashing over the past couple of years in various different states. They clashed in, I think it was UCLA in LA. Years ago, Luke Rogowski was recording that along with Tim Pool and everybody. And I mean, Tim Pool, I mean, he really screwed up. He really screwed up with trying to side with some of these. Well, I wouldn't say side. I would say more so hang around with.
This is why I left the left.
Oh Jesus Christ, dude! That guy peddles fucking CIA talking point after CIA talking point. This is the fucking day he stepped onto the fucking spot in Occupy.
yeah.
Well, no, I think during Occupy, I think
Everyone
he did
around him
journalism
goes to
on the
jail.
ground for showing what was going on, and I
He did a good
disagree
job
with-
at first.
I mean, okay,
Yeah.
I'm being a little harsh there, but everybody around that motherfucker goes to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, he admitted, I said it before, he admitted on the podcast that he was willingly getting himself silenced by accepting a huge sum of money. So he said that. Like, I can safely say it. Because, he was on the podcast saying, like, I received a huge amount of money, was hired by a news agency, and all they wanted was for me not to write anything. And I was paid for that. That's what he said. So, yeah. There you go. He said it publicly. Yeah.
wasn't it the statue of George Washington that was defaced in Portland? Yep, found it right here. George Washington statue toppled in Portland, June 19th, 2020. Yeah. Found it. So the contention between Portland, Oregon, and Antifa and the Proud Boys and all these other groups and everything, that's where that all comes from. But
Okay, well, to be fair too, to that specific point, I know you're trying to make a broader argument, AK, but to that specific point, there were statues that were vandalized like everywhere outside of Portland.
Right,
It
but there was
quite
a contention
beautiful
point.
to see. It was quite beautiful to see that Juan Ponce de Leon statue with red paint all over it.
Well, I mean, the thing about the toppling the statues too, they weren't just toppling statues that were racist. They were toppling the statues of the Confederates that had ended the racism at the time. Fuck, I can't remember the names of them. But yeah, I mean, they were toppling everything. It didn't matter what the statue stood for. in my opinion.
And I have another problem too with the Antifa in the USA, when they are like having all these flags with like Leninist symbols, Soviet symbols. Yeah, but they wear Soviet symbols, and they're saying like they're
fucking morons.
Dude,
Bloopers.
yeah, well, they're saying they're
fucking
against
morons.
nationalism, but they're wearing Soviet symbols, and so the Soviet state was super nationalist. I'm just saying.
Dude, the ones that aren't fucking feds or posers or completely like
They're just a bunch of guys that know how
well-intentioned
to make
but
money or
totally
try.
misguided idiots, or
Yeah.
like the occasional people that are like, yeah, I'll hang out with these fucks because we do some mutual aid shit. Like, it drives me nuts because all they do now is fucking endorse and scream about state narratives. Never seen.
And at the protest, all they do is scream and yell. You can't even. It's incomprehensible. They showed
You're
up.
never
for a
gonna get
protest.
people on your side if all your entire communication with anyone who has a slightly different viewpoint with you is "fuck you, Fash."
Yep. Just fuck you, fascist.
Well, here's
They
the
throw
thing with
water
that
on you.
too. Just real quick. Here's the thing with that. Both Antifa, the Proud Boys, and any other organization on the right, they are all funded by somebody bankrolling them.
Fuck
and
yes.
that doesn't
Yeah.
mean
They're
that
two
doesn't mean
sides
every
of the same
fucking
side of
organizer's
coin.
paid. It doesn't mean every organizer's fucking paid. That's not what
No.
that means.
No, of course not.
But some
Hey,
are.
Two sides of the same psyop coin.
Of course, some of the organizers are paid, and it's been well admitted, and it's been well exposed that some of the organizers are paid like that. But what the funding mechanism would serve as is it would serve for busing people in, and it would serve for creating like signs and stuff like that for the protests. And I don't understand why people think that that's such a far out there crazy idea that some of these organizers are paid. That doesn't mean all the protesters are paid who are involved with Antifa. No. There's organizations set up within Antifa to train these guys, and then they go to these meetings. Just the same thing as people going to a fucking Proud Boys meeting, or the same thing as somebody going to a white supremacist meeting. There's
the same thing
people
as people going
bankrolling.
to any organizing meeting. Like,
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying I don't get these ideologies. Like they that's the danger behind it. If you're like so you're an anti-fascist, that's fine. I'm an anti-fascist too. So I have
Yeah,
to be
but-
pro free speech. I have support free press. Those are weapons against fascism. Where is their support
Right.
for Julian Assange? Where is their support for free
Nowhere.
speech? There isn't any.
Nowhere. They're celebrating state violence. Any time you see a cop go after a quote unquote right winger, the first ones to be like, yeah, fucking find the guy yours. It's the fuck people that are like, oh, we're anti-fascist. You're celebrating state violence.
But then you condemn it when it's on minorities, and
Or anywhere else.
it just
Any
doesn't
other
make
time.
sense. It never has to me. It never made sense to me about how people cheer on their enemies getting the same treatment that they're going to get in the future, or they are currently getting. It just doesn't make sense.
Right? Isn't
Yeah.
that the thing that you're fighting against? That exact treatment? You don't like that treatment?
Like,
You're not okay with it?
I woke up with this tweet, and I just want to read it to you guys because it's the stupidest thing that I fucking ever read. And I'm not even going to say who tweeted it. I'm just going to say what the fuck it is. Okay?
Chad Loader.
If the FBI is only tracking 16,000 people after January 6th, they aren't doing their jobs. How many members does the Proud Boys have? How many members does the Oath Keepers have? How many members does the KKK have? I'm pretty sure that totals to two more than 16,000, and that's not counting QAnon. So you want to give the FBI more power to observe over people? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes, dude, that's what they're doing. Let me go find it, man.
My goddamn tweet was
I'll bring up the tweet when I find it on my account.
Well, my tweet was about how the FBI has now admitted that they're tracking 16,000 people in the U.S. However, I said don't be fooled, because there's way more people that are included under the COG continue. Oh my god, I can't speak. Continuing of government tracking with main core. As I said in 2019, my source said that the number was in the double-digit millions, and they respond with something like that? Are you kidding me?
Look! Everyone is being tracked through the commercial operations already. Like everyone who uses Facebook and Google, etc., they're being tracked. It's as simple as that.
I think the FBI needs your help to to fucking track people down.
The FBI isn't even the threat on that side. The big threat are like the NSA and the people connected into these commercial platforms. Like you willingly give up everything through Facebook and through whatever social media and your phone, right? And everything is being like connected to each other into this huge grid. And then the FBI is just is like a super small fish in that game, honestly. Those are like what are you talking about? A few 100,000 employees. It's nothing. I mean, Google has more employees than the FBI. So yeah, here's the thing. Like what? You have the NSA. You have different. They have all these systems which are so far ahead of what we think they are. And IK actually gave a lot of research about that, about Promise and all these things. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too about Promise Software. I mean, Promise Software was made in the 1980s under Ronald Reagan, and it was misappropriated by the government. It was Bill. Oh my God, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Bill and Nancy Hamilton. They were the proprietary owners of Promise Software. And Promise Software was originally just for court systems. They then misappropriated that software and turned it into a tracking system for fucking everybody in America. And under Oliver North, at the time, he was the one that was basically given the job to create a dissidence list under Ronald Reagan of immigrants and also people who opposed Ronald Reagan, and that dissidence list was handed over to FEMA, and they ran tests under Rex 1984 for rounding up dissidents. That was their original plan, and this was back in the 1980s. And by the way, Mr. George H.W. Bush was the vice president under Ronald Reagan. Now, the information that I have that I can't prove, and I just get information from sources, is that George H.W. Bush was actually the main guy behind that that list being created, and he was one of the heavy guys who was involved in Iran-Contra and the drug smuggling and gun running operations, and he was also involved in Mena, Arkansas, with Bill Clinton.
Yeah, but listen, this is not just a surveillance issue. This is a human rights issue, because this is not like you had like, for example, in Europe you had like the Stasi, right, in Eastern Germany, and they were like listening to everyone's phones and they were recording everything. And when the Stasi was removed and Germany was unified, there were these human rights laws created. But that said, like wiretapping on the phones is illegal. You're not allowed to use phone lines to wiretap. But how did the surveillance agencies find a solution to this? They created a system called signal intelligence, SIGINT, and they could take the signals from the sky. And that's why, because we had human rights laws protecting us against surveillance through cables from the Stasi era. And they circumvented that because there didn't exist any protection laws for wireless traffic yet.
Right,
and
but
so you have a human right.
More advanced. Main Core is actually AI. It's the first artificial intelligence created system that has now been upgraded, and it was passed over to Palantir as Gotham, and it was passed over to the NSA as Prism. And it's pretty funny too if you look at it. Promise, Prism.
Yeah. But I'm just saying to you, like, how you combat this. You combat this by having good human rights lawyers sue your government and make sure that you have the same protections.
How can you though? You can't, because the government, the openly continuity of government are COG, right? Those guys are military officials that were running these programs and still running these programs. They're very compartmentalized. Yeah. There's very few people who had access to COG. That had access to main course database. the people that had access were very few and in between. And on top of that, you have that software main core basically forked into Gotham, and then it's giving to the Echelon employees that are now have the ability to do similar things that were possible with main core. So the main
With
core
Echelon,
software
that
now
is the signal
unit.
intelligence, right?
No,
Because that was
It's-
named Echelon first. Echelon, on like, if you search for it, you find all these
Yes,
Echelon.
but yes, but it's expanded more than just to Signet Intelligence. It also includes human.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they use feeder systems, and I know where the feeder systems are and everything. I have a whole list that they feed information into this this AI software for main core. So
Say like,
I want to watch what I say because I haven't revealed everything in this, and also I want to actually put out the evidence on this stuff, not just speak about it. But main core it was forked into Gotham, and the Palantir guys were very close to advisors that were also involved with Promise Software and Iran Contra and everything at the time. So when they misappropriated Promise Software into main core, and then misappropriated main core into Palantir's software of Gotham, and there's another one too that ICE uses. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's the same software that was being used back then, and ICE uses the software because they're trying to go after illegal immigrants. And Palantir was assisting that effort, and Barrett Brown actually had written some things about it and exposed them, and that was what kind of got his Twitter account taken down by issuing threats saying that he was going to expose them, this and that, and all that, because he's a well-known figure for his journalism, and he was going balls to the walls against ICE, but with what Gotham is able to do and Palantir are able to do that main core wasn't, is main core just basically tracked all of your transactions and also webbed all of your connections. Okay, or I'm sorry, no, it didn't web your connections. That's what Gotham does. Gotham webs your connections. Main core, what it did was create a full database of a person's personal profile, essentially, saying that this person is involved with this group, this person's involved with this, blah blah blah. This is their politics, this is their beliefs, all of that. They created full profiles essentially on people, which is no different than Facebook now.
yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly
what
what-
I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they
Do it a
mark
lot through meme analysis, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes,
psychology,
they mark
you,
people.
you find.
They mark people.
Like it's a big psyops operation.
Yeah, the psyops.
Main core's not really a psyop. It's main core's a
talking about
database
Facebook.
list for a roundup of dissidents and activists that was created in the late 1980s.
Well,
and it
Facebook
was,
is a huge psyop.
upgraded in
It is a
2000s
huge psyop.
under the Bush administration, and they upgraded it in the Bush administration to then include immigrants, and they wanted to include Muslims, and James Comey actually spoke out against it. Which I do have those documents, and I'm going to.
Listen, bro, this is
those.
not just the USA, by the way. I hear a lot about the USA, but this is global. You know that, right? The same.
I only know about main core, so I only speak about main core.
Well, I photographed a site in my own country. There was a hidden site, and they had the same connections to the USA. They're obviously not even on the Five Eyes program or whatever, but they are. They are a Five Eyes location, right? Our country is not in Five Eyes, but behind the scenes we are, because the public never gets the truth, right? Five Eyes story, complete bullshit. The real story is that all these NATO countries have these installations hidden. I photographed them myself, and it's like literally hidden in between these farms. So yeah, I spoke to a guy. who was attacked at one of these installations in 1995, right? And he left it for years and years ago already. And he said even in 1995 they were tapping 15 signals from the sky, and they had a fiber connection, right, directly from our country to Sweden.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is 1995. That's like a huge fiber to Sweden
Yeah, that's
directly.
huge. Like that
makes
costs a lot of
sense,
money.
though. I mean, no, that makes sense. The fiber. I've heard that fiber. I've heard that the fiber connection wires have been. How do I say this without sounding okay?
Yeah, but you know that they literally they have been digging from our country to Sweden, and they have been putting a fiber through the ground, and no one was told about it, right? And you go through all these different countries, you put in a private fiber connection to a different country. Like, you're talking about hundreds of miles of fiber.
How do they do that?
Yeah, no one knew. Like, no one knows about
Yeah,
this.
how does no one know about that? It's
Right. Well, actually, the fiber wire. There's several whistleblowers that have now said this now, and there's one in specific who was involved with Roswell, and he says that the fiber wire connection came from what they reverse engineered at Roswell. And they had that technology back in the. He said that they had that technology back in the 50s, 60s. So it doesn't surprise me that they ran a fiber wire connection like that in the 1990s, because they probably had fiber wire connections before that, in my opinion, at least. And I trust these whistleblowers that have come out of speaking about Roswell, because they're very high ranking and they're very old, and they're on their deathbeds. So they have nothing to lose when speaking about stuff like this. But yeah, I mean, that goes back to the whole are we alone in the universe, alien connections, and all of that. And I mean, it's just, for me, it's an overwhelming amount of evidence. I've seen so much stuff over the years. I've seen various different crashes that were before Roswell that just doesn't make sense. Like, there was that mountain that Tyler talked about before, that I didn't even know about, and then I looked into it and I was like, holy shit. Yeah. And I've seen years ago there was a dark web film of a extraterrestrial being basically being administered by a nurse, and it's very short, but it looks real. It doesn't look fake to me at all.
Is that the 1964 video that I was showing with you, or is it a different one?
It's a different one.
Oh.
It's the EBE video. It's called. It's used to be able to find it on YouTube. Probably can't anymore. Yeah, there's an old video. It's an EBE video, and it says the name of the EBE in the film at the bottom of it. Yeah, it looks like a video that was taken from a security camera. It's very well done, and I could not find anything wrong with it. And then years ago, I saw the Coral Castle video of an orb of light making a crop circle, and they analyzed that video, and they said that it would be impossible to fake something like that back then, because it was in the 1940s or 50s when they took that video. So, yeah, I've seen enough evidence, and I've seen documents. I've seen the various documents, FBI documents, and stuff like that have been disclosed. I've seen presidential sightings and military sightings and everything, and everybody's all like, "Oh, the military sightings." But the thing is, these guys who come out and talk about this stuff, they're violating their oath of secrecy, and they can literally have their whole entire what's it called, pension taken away from them, and some of them have, in fact. So, I mean, it's just not a good argument for me to say, oh, the person's in the military, oh, they can be a PSYOPs officer. Well, yes, they can be, but it doesn't mean that they are. Like, But yeah, I mean, with fiber wire and stuff like that, there's a whistleblower who talks about it. How when they reverse engineered the Roswell craft, they had found fiber wire and found out how fiber wire works, and that's what is used for computers and used for TVs at the time and everything else. I mean, so yeah, huge advancement there. Leap in history from the 19.
My grandpa actually used to
40s.
talk about how we got like microchips and all sorts of shit right after the whole Roswell incident.
Yeah, that's what the whistleblower said
Because
too.
my grandpa actually lived in Roswell when that happened.
Hmm.
He's from Roswell, New Mexico.
What does he
was
say
there
about
around
it?
that time. He said that nobody there even knew about it. Like that lived in the area. Like most of them didn't know about it. Like that weren't near the site. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
if you weren't like right at the site, you had no idea. And he said that he didn't even learn about it until like way later, and he had moved out of Roswell. But he said,
Well, they had that one newspaper article that came out, but that was it. And
yeah, but he said, yeah, but pretty much nobody knew about it. Like it was
Of course.
completely like hush hush. Like nobody knew shit. You know what I mean? Except for like evidently the people that were like right there when the apparent incident happened.
yeah, and the the scientific terms that the military uses for extraterrestrial beings is EBE and EDE, which is extraterrestrial or extra biological entity and extra dimensional entity.
Really?
I've been told that before, and I looked that stuff up, and I'm like, this is actually like there's truth to it. There's a lot of truth to those two terms, because I actually found documents where they're talking about EBEs and EDEs, and they didn't redact it, and I was just like, oh shit. I'm like, wow, like incredible. And now you see that the narrative has changed from UFOs to UAPs, and which is unidentified aerial phenomenon, and it's very significant for them to change that like that. Like I said before on ABB before last year, I said that literally disclosure is coming in the next couple of years, and that they have a huge plan for it, and blah blah blah, and that next year would start to pick up more and more. I was right? You know, I didn't mince my words. I was right about it. I have talked to in the past. I had talked to somebody who's involved with To the Stars, and they basically told me that they liked my research and that I was spot on some things and not on others. And I don't trust To the Stars as far as I can throw them, but regardless, they have an agenda here that they're going to be pushing over the next couple years, and they kind of basically just hinted at me that they would be doing this in the next couple of years, and yeah, I just know that they have a lot of information on these crafts and everything, and they have a lot of videos to put out that they haven't yet put out. So things are going to pick up as far as the whole disclosure narrative goes, and I don't know because I've also talked to Dr. Stephen Greer, and he doesn't trust To the Stars.
The Blink-182 guy.
Right. Well, yeah. Tom DeLonge is involved with To the Stars.
I didn't like him. I saw him at Joe Rogan. He didn't sound trustworthy at all. Just saying.
He's got his heart in the right spot, but he can be very manipulated because of that. Because he's got his heart in the right spot, and he's interested in it, and he's now been kind of like grandfathered into this To the Stars narrative. He can be very manipulated by that, and yeah, like I said, Dr. Stephen Greer, he has been outspoken against To the Stars, And I would love to actually have Dr. Stephen Greer come on ABB and speak
Yeah,
about some of this
well,
stuff.
we'll try that.
But-
I'm not a big fan of him either, but he had a good thing with the serious thing, and also I like that other guy who was, what's his name? He was an employee at Area 51.
You're talking about the old guy?
Yeah, the guy who was he actually said he worked with UFOs. What is that guy? What is his name? He's famous. Let me see.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about the guy who said he worked at Area 51 and,
yeah.
and was he actually worked at S4 and
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar, yeah.
I liked him. I think he's right.
He's
he looks
he's
reliable.
very hard to get in contact with, and he's very hard to get interviews with. But Dr. Stephen Greer, he occasionally does interviews, and I wish I had my old account, and then I'd be able to grab like a whole bunch of people. I mean, we'd be able to have like anybody you want probably on.
Yeah,
here.
but Greer does some weird stuff. Like he has this app and stuff, and it's like all like for money and things, and that kind of like throws me off.
He has the contact app that also Nick Pope, who's a former MOD official, and they went out and used the contact app in one viral video one time, and they had lights in the skies show up. Whether or not that's legitimate or not, I don't know, but it's a start, I guess. If it's we can't really tell if the lights in the sky are actually craft or if it's just somebody using a fucking,
Or they're friends from the military, right? I mean.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't know, but I mean, Stephen Greer. I mean, he's more credible in my opinion than the To the Stars guys. He's had way more people come forward with the whole disclosure initiative and the serious film and everything. I mean, he's done a lot of more work for the disclosure community than.
What do you think of that serious thing now? Because I saw that too. It was kind of weird. They had like an alien body. Like they had like this little alien body, and they did DNA testing on it. They sent it to universities and stuff, and it took a while to get results. I saw that whole thing. What do you think?
Well, okay, so yeah, and the filmmaker or the film producer of that was Amardeep Kalika. And his father was actually shot in the Sikha temple shooting during that whole entire investigation into that EBE, and it was very interesting to see his father get shot in that Sikha temple shooting. It was very random, and the guy was the guy who did the shooting. He was a military officer. He was a former military officer, and he was when you dig into his actual background and everything, he was involved in a lot of psyops operations. And that to me is a red flag. I think that essentially, I mean, I think he was a Manchurian candidate. I mean, and for people who don't know, I mean, they created multiple Manchurian candidates in the 1960s. With MK Ultra and everything, and nowadays, I mean, you can just drug somebody on scopolamines and say, go do a mass shooting, and they have no control over their brain. Scopolamines is a South American drug. It's also known as devil's breath. So I don't know, man. When that whole entire film was coming out and everything, and they at first said, yeah, we have proof and everything, they then flipped and said that it was just a little girl, and it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all. So, and on top of that too, there was a small bean that was very similar to Atma, that was the bean in Sirius, that was found in a Ukrainian pyramid, and it had a crown on its head. A lot of people missed that information too, and it was actually on Ukrainian news. If you try to find it, you can look it up and everything. And there's also crystalline pyramids that were found off the coast of Peru. And these crystalline pyramids are completely made out of crystal, and they're under the water and off the coast. And there is later crystalline pyramids found off the coast of China as well, years later. So I don't know. I've read a lot of documents and everything about the extraterrestrial phenomenon, and I'm a believer in it. That's for sure. I don't think that there's not anything out there. But to say what it is, I don't know. Like, for all we know, these EBs, they could be they could be just living in the clouds. I mean, we have no fucking idea, right?
On the water,
Or
right?
the fucking ocean.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Ocean
we
too.
don't. Because we know more about space than we do our own ocean.
Or they're the Anunnaki. I don't know. I'm just like,
They must be Anunnaki.
the Juice Media has a video out right now about Australian whistleblowers Witness K and Bernard Collery that we did an episode about a couple of months back with David McBride. And I was wondering if I could pull that up, because it is the Juice. They're funny. And we haven't talked about any of this stuff for a while, so it might be kind of fun to
I don't think Smoyoho would pull down a video if we aired it like that. I think we'll be fine with that, but I don't know.
It's only like 2 minutes long, but we can pause it a little bit of the way through too, and kind of talk about what's going on. And then that way, it breaks up. It'll be respectful of like fair use style, at least for them, and it hopefully won't be.
Well, I used to have contact with them. Again, anybody out there wants to get my account back, I'm all for it, because I can.
You have all the contacts on there, I know.
They shut down all of my contacts, and there's a reason for it, because I can organize protests very easily, and can organize things very easily, not just protest-wise. So they went after my account for a reason. And anybody out there, give back that account. I can make a lot of big things happen.
Visit Timor-Leste, Australia's favourite neighbour. No, that's Bali, dickhead. East Timor, home to Virgin Islands, golden beaches, friendly people, but most importantly, shit tons of oil and gas. Which is why here at the Australian government, we've repeatedly stabbed those friendly people in the fucking back. Like, remember that time we supported Indonesia when it invaded them? Sure, a third of them ended up being massacred on our doorstep, and sure, we left our own journalists to die in Balibo and then covered it up. But hey, it was worth it. Here we are sculling champers on a jet above the Timor Sea where all that oil and gas is. Good times. Sadly, this lucrative fuckfest was threatened when Timor finally won its independence. It was the youngest and poorest nation in Asia, so of course we helped them out. Nah, just kidding. We stabbed them in the back again by forcing their impoverished asses to sign a treaty that let us keep looting.
Oh, I forgot we were gonna pause it a little bit. We're 51 seconds in, so that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. That's fair use still. I think fair use falls under 5 minutes, to be honest with you. But anyway, regardless.
For the record, real quick, I want to say that what has happened to democracy now is especially sad, because they did such wonderful and necessary and honest and accurate coverage of East Timor back in 2002, 2003.
Well, what they do with Juice Media, that I really like, is that they condense down a whole bunch of information into short blips. It's very helpful to spread truthful information in a sarcastic way, because that's what George Carlin did as well. He was very comedical, and he used a lot of sarcasm to get across serious information, because the way the human brain works. I mean, people take more to comedy than they will to just being force-fed something. It's an easier way to get information across to people. So that's what I really like about it.
So good, and they're fantastic. They are. I believe that there was some DM exchanges with them from the Action for Assange Twitter account, but that was a while ago. We would have to go back and try and rekindle that. But yeah.
That oil and
I'd
gas.
like to
How did we
reconnect
get
with
such?
them again.
You what now?
No, I just said I would like to reconnect with them again.
Treaty that let us keep looting their oil and gas. How did we get such a good deal? By bucking their government officers during the negotiations. Lol. The only reason you know this is because one of our spies, who we'll call Witness K, blew the whistle after learning that the big sack of shit who ordered the bugging went on to score a lucrative consultancy with the same pricks who have the license over those oil fields. Of course, we immediately prosecuted the criminals. Not them, silly. Witness K and his lawyer. Right now, we're pushing to try them in a secret court because national security, which is our way of saying that we'd rather you'd never learned how we conspired to defraud Timor, an offence under the ACT's criminal code. Or
So the parallels between the way that whistleblowers are treated in Australia, the way that whistleblowers are treated in the West in general, is it Five Eyes consistency or just reflective of all authoritarian regimes?
I'm trying to look up the. There's a lawyer. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The lawyer who was involved in. Oh, Stephen Donziger. I just found it.
Yeah.
Very
The Chevron.
similar. Very similar. Chevron. Right.
House arrest for about 2 years, a little under 2 years.
Yep. And he had his client privilege information try to be given to the prosecutors in the case, and it was just like insane, man. The judge ordered for his computer to be given to the prosecutors, and I mean that's just corrupt. It's,
you saw where in Julian's rendition, the verdict reading, where Beratzer agreed that it was not only legal but necessary for the CIA to have spied on his meetings with his attorneys. There's a provision in UK law that allows for this. Now, it would become necessary, I would believe, to argue whether or not there's a permission in Ecuadorian law that allows for this, because it took place on Ecuadorian soil.
yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be the logical next question, to point raise? But hey, this happened in Ecuador. What does their constitution say? Because if their constitution doesn't allow for this, or if you're saying that your espionage supersedes the constitution of sovereign nations, maybe we have a different conversation altogether. I'm gonna play the last minute.
Well, wait. I just want to say one more thing, because I just went to Stephen Donzinger's Twitter feed, and he's now pointing out that Canadian oil company is now continuing. A Canadian oil company is now continuing to pay local police in the U.S. to arrest Indigenous people protesting the Line 3 pipeline.
Yeah,
and it's very similar, he says, to Chevron paying for his own prosecution. Big oil using its money to openly control the public function of government, and he says this is wrong. So,
big agree.
that we were using ACEs for corporate espionage instead of stopping terrorists around the very time that terrorists bombed our embassy in Jakarta. Whoops. And we'd especially like you not to learn how we cheated a country just emerging from a brutal occupation with one of the world's highest rates of infant mortality, malnutrition and preventable disease, and deprived them of billions in revenue from their own resources, which is fuck tons more than what we give Timor in foreign aid. So when you think about it, Timor's sick kids are Australia's largest donor. Aw, thanks little guys. What's that? At least you got cheaper gas. Aw, sweetheart. Did we not mention that Timor's gas is shipped straight to Japan, where it's sold for 40% less than what you pay for it? So to recap our foreign policy, you pay for the...
I mean, okay. this her delivery's fantastic. If you're watching right now and you're just learning about this, wow, do you have some wild shit to dig into? It's not gonna make you happy, but it does explain a lot in terms of.
I mean, just to
region.
Just to jump in there. I mean, I honestly I don't know too much information on this, even though that Marcus had David Bride on and David McBride on and
Yeah.
and you guys had witnessed. I honestly I don't know too much about it. And
By the way, we had David McBride on like 7 times, I think, and he's coming back soon too. So
yeah,
just real quick.
Well,
and he's been on the Vigil a handful of times. He's been on my show, and he's one of those guys that like you would just want to check up on.
Yeah.
Make sure he's doing okay. So I do that fairly frequently. I'll just drop him a line. You doing okay, buddy?
Yeah, well, he got a new phone, so he lost his wire, he said, and then he reinstalled his wire, and now he's back on it, so he'll be back soon.
Well, that's the thing, too. I mean, with this case that I'm hearing now, it sounds oddly similar to Chevron, but it sounds like it's even more corrupt, and that's hard to do, man. Like, oh
yeah,
Chevron.
they're basically using the Australian military and their spy agency to, as the cutout and conduit for the gas company.
Yeah.
And the oil company.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's more nefarious. I mean, this is essentially Confessions of an Economic Hitman shit.
Yeah.
It's that business model exported over to Australia.
100%. I do not disagree with you. It's Tyler just retweeted the show. Is he coming on?
I don't know.
No, he was replying a little bit before. Let me see.
Look, I'll send him yes.
No, he's at work.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So he's at work retweeting.
You
Okay.
bum.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's always at work. He still wants to retweet it. He wants to support it, of course. So.
Yeah, that's fine. I just saw him retweet it, and I didn't want to exclude him if if he's around.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean,
he's probably listening to it right now. So a shout out to Tyler.
Tyler.
Hey, Tyler. All right, well, I'll finish the
exploration, investment, and spying. These sick cakes get rich. You get shafted on prices. Brown kids die of diarrhea, and anyone who exposes this shit fuckery gets tried in a secret court. Any questions? Visit Timor-Leste, Australia's best-kept dirty little secret. Authorised by the Department for Coveting Thy Neighbour's Goods.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they really hit hard with that one. They hit hard with every video. I mean, I really love how they went from internet stardom of actual just sarcasm and video and audio clips, like the Bed Intruder song and Double Rainbow and all those songs that they did years ago, and they used that power and influence to create something truly revolutionary that can combat government propaganda.
Okay. Government propaganda.
Government paid propaganda press releases. As you know, that Thomas Hartman said to George W. Bush during the 2001 press conference. He was or 2001 or 2003, and he said, "How come the media organizations don't have to disclose paid government press package releases?" And oh man, dude, that conversation, holy shit, that's funny. Of course, YouTube has now deleted that video. Thank you, YouTube, for censoring everything.
Had to.
Yeah, so like I said at the start, YouTube deleted another episode of us too for medical misinformation. Thanks for that too, YouTube.
So who decides what is medical misinformation for them? Do they got a doctor doing it?
We're not allowed to talk. Like we're not allowed to talk about having a different opinion about the whole COVID thing than they have. Like you're just not allowed anymore to just have an opinion. Like we're not even saying like this is true or whatever.
Because it's not. We don't do practical science anymore, Lovey. It's all consensus based.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're all anti-science extremists here.
But actually we're not. Like that's the thing. We're actually more pro science than they are when we discuss like what is possible and because
I fancy myself a scientist.
yeah, it's just like
Just amateur.
they don't have the answers to everything. And like for example, we haven't discussed long-term effects of vaccines, for example. No one discusses this.
They don't want to talk about that. They're a bunch of talking heads.
But it is very scientific to talk about it, right?
You know, there's no real science if everybody's agreeing with each other.
Good point.
Yeah.
There's no real
that's
science.
a really good point.
I mean,
There's
it starts with
go ahead.
asking questions. So.
And another problem is they do not know practical science. They do not teach practical science anymore. And where I actually learned practical science was through the studies of Nikola Tesla. And since it's past the time of Nikola Tesla, there is no more practical science at all. What it is they do not actually try and disprove their theories anymore. All they're doing is coming up with things and be like, oh, that makes sense. And then they just get a bunch of people to agree with them. And they don't actually get any data. It's all theoretical bullshit. There's no proof of most of the science nowadays. There's no evidence.
Yeah,
like dark matter. Dark matter is a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, but it also has to do with so they make like a conclusion about something. It's based on nothing, but they do it so they can then go on with doing new experiments based on that theory, and they get like more money. They get all the money.
Yeah, it's literally they just come up with a bunch of convoluted bullshit to get government funding.
Like they would say, like, okay, so we have evidence.
How can you best kiss the government's ass, and how
Yes.
can you best suit the establishment's narrative management with an experiment that somehow gives some sort of jerk off to confirmation bias for them, and then they're like, "Oh, great, we can give you a grant for this."
Yeah,
This is
exactly,
great.
exactly.
Science, sure.
Like, they will just say like most of us are convinced that the Earth is flat, and we are going to do these experiments and these experiments to prove it. Like we have found a promising thing in Mexico, and we're going to do experiments there based on it, and we need a grant for it, right? Because we are convinced the Earth is flat. So they get all these grants.
Hey, it's not that it's flat. Okay. There's just this firmament, and
I know it's the back of that huge turtle, right?
It is. So there's 4 elephants that stand on the turtle, and the turtle is named the Great Atuan.
Would be epic, by the way. Would be epic if it was like a huge turtle. Seriously.
I gotta bounce though, guys. You have a lovely evening. I'll talk to you all soon.
Later, Steve. It's always good to talk to you, brother.
Take care, y'all.
Alright.
Later, man.
See you, Steve.
So if we didn't discuss the 2 things we were supposed to discuss.
Oh yeah, you're
World
right.
Refugee Day and Commander X. The entire subject of this show.
Hey, Thor wants you to add him.
Will he discuss World Refugee Day?
I doubt he's going to discuss anything other than the thing he's pissed off about that he won't stop DMing me about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should add him, but I'm just telling you.
World Refugee Day, and then there's also the Amazon cops gave LA cops more RING.
He said I will.
Yeah, ring Amazon. Fucking ugh. And it was already a bunch of email correspondence between ring Amazon representatives and LAPD was revealed, in which they were basically scamming and scheming to get footage of protesters from the Black Lives Matter protest last summer. So Yeah. Those
Well,
ring
more than that,
Amazon
yeah.
shit, they're surveilling the fuck out of you, and cops are already looking to use the footage gathered from those to persecute people. Fucking wonderful.
Well, yeah, and then also Ring. I mean, it's yeah, it's also been used in the past for monitoring packages, and they ran various different uh, what's it called, theft entrapment operations on like putting fake packages on people's like doorsteps and using the UPS and using the police in the area to run entrapment operations for people. What's it called? Porch pirates. So they ran different porch pirate operations where, um, directly with the police and with the UPS, and talking about how they would set up fake packages to see how many people would try to go and get the packages, and they did all sorts of stuff. And at one point in time, they were putting Ring ads for white collar crime on Facebook and on a whole bunch of other different things like YouTube and stuff like that. And they were advertising also in their own app. People who are suspected of crime, and it's thought crime. It's another form of thought crime. And who cares if somebody stole a fucking package off of somebody's house? I mean, okay, that's one thing, but to put out somebody's identity when you don't know for sure, that's the issue. It's like, oh, have you seen this person? But it's not actually the person's actual identity. And the Ring software, I believe, uses facial recognition technology now.
Oh yeah. I'm not surprised.
I invited Torin.
Yay, Thor.
Hey, he uses webcam, I think.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Hey, you can actually use like Gravatar. You can like, if you have Gravatar, like a WordPress, whatever, you can like fill in an email. I think you can also fill in a random email, and it like takes the picture from them. Just saying.
So, have you been drinking today, Mark?
No, I've been sleeping.
I knew he was gonna ask that.
I was just sleeping since an hour until an hour ago. I was still sleeping.
Would you submit to a breathalyzer test?
Yeah, if you come do it, like you show up here and.
Just send me your info and I'll come. Anyway, I know we are all like being old chummy and talking BS and stuff, but you had some topics.
We have two topics.
Any,
World Refugee Day.
Do you have any? Okay, go ahead.
World Refugee Day and Free Command Rights we were supposed to discuss and we didn't do yet.
Yeah, do you have any updates on X?
Well, no, we don't have. No, I don't think so. Not a real update.
The only update we have is the Kamala Harris meeting that happened 3 days prior to him being arrested. I mean, that's a pretty big update. That was something that we weren't aware of.
I mean, that was already known. It's just that the Mexican press chose to publicize that alongside what they're saying with X's arrest. So,
but there's more here, people. There's something you seem to have missed. This documentary that came out just like 2 months ago, it was like just like a couple of weeks prior to his actual arrest. Is there a connection?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know me and you clash and argue with each other, but yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Thor's my tango partner.
I'm just saying, we didn't hear anything about this guy for years, and then the documentary, and then he suddenly gets arrested.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it has to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the stuff he says in his videos?
Well, yeah.
I haven't seen that actual documentary. I've been wanting to watch it and get around to doing it, but I haven't seen that actual full documentary. And I tried to, but it wouldn't load. It was geofenced.
Yeah, we have yet to find a copy of that place.
Yeah, because I want to know what X said in it that might have triggered this. For sure, I definitely side with you on that.
Yeah. So that would be like top priority, getting that documentary and streaming it, of course. And of course, 2 more. Let's get set up. You know what I'm talking about. We could do a whole lot better.
I knew he was gonna do that.
You know, a whole lot.
I don't know, but
better
he's right. I'm like, I've been like slacking around on that, so he's right. He could say it.
Have you counted the stats? We average 100 views now. 100, dude. It's awful. We used to hit thousands and thousands, like 6,000-7,000 broadcasts.
A lot more actually. Like the early ones had like what 25,000.
They're using deboosting though. They're using deboosting everywhere for controversial information, and I mean it's insane.
We had a few episodes doing the biggest episode I think had 43,000 views. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And some had 25,000. The early ones with Barrett on, and the one where even the one where Tyler got robbed had like 15,000 or something. So you're saying.
Yeah.
We're averaging 100 views now.
I actually missed that one. You need to send me that exact one. I need to laugh at that. But yeah, we have a plan. We have a strategy. I'm not going to tell everybody what it is, but most of you should know already. And that is probably the better way to go about it.
The Periscope actually did decent. When you like shared on Twitter and you would have like Periscope, we would get a few thousand views still on Periscope. But now Periscope is off the air too, I think.
Yeah, like I said, we just have to go, in between and use the codes and the RTMP, and we can do this, and we can pop up anywhere like whack-a-mole. And we will be hard to, we will be hard to censor that way.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of different ways to combat censorship. It's just a matter of doing it, and I mean, you can't depend on Facebook. You can't depend on YouTube. I mean. You got to use alternatives and build alternative communities. But the issue has been that all these alternative sites, they haven't had the traction that Facebook and Twitter and all these YouTube have had. So it's a matter of getting traction and marketing something. And also decentralizing in general. I mean, using alternative social networks. There's tons of them now. They're not all decentralized, but there's tons of them that are out there where you can use other communities to build up, and that's what you have to do. I mean, before we were streaming on like VK and everything else too. What happened to that, Mark?
VK is still running. Yeah, it still streams to VK, so every episode is on VK too. Yeah.
So we're still streaming to like 20 different sites or whatever.
Yeah, it's still to VK and to Twitch. We're also streaming. So yeah.
I thought it was like 100 different sites that we were streaming to at one point.
Yeah, at some point, yeah, definitely. And D Live and these places too.
Oh yeah, Odyssey is live streaming.
Well, we stream to Rockfin now. I mean, I guess that's something.
Oh yeah, so we streamed to the Slowness Day account, so there's that too.
Well, Rockfin has some decent views, I guess. It's almost like it's like the same as YouTube, an amount of views, which is really good because they're not so big as YouTube. But yeah.
Are we streaming on Twitter?
Now we were doing Periscope, but then
Twitter
Periscope disappeared, and Periscope was owned by Twitter.
They got rid of Periscope and they put in that Fleets thing.
Yeah, it sucks.
That means I'll be able to go live again.
So this is on more than just YouTube right now?
It is on more than
Yeah,
YouTube.
we're on
Absolutely.
like
I didn't even know that.
streaming. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
on.
it is.
Let me see.
The issue is, in order to actually build it up, you have to provide all of those accounts with content, so you grow a following on all of those accounts. And none of us here has that time to do that. But if you're using a cross-posting API where you're also it had the ability to post in one spot and then post everywhere else, then that would be doable, right?
Well, the algorithm already knows who you are and who you're connected to. So whatever you're building is automatically shadow banned. You will never get anywhere. You need proxy. You need other people. You need somebody to come in and have a page like a million views on it and say, you can use this. I volunteer to join this freedom of speech project you have going here.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on that when it comes to the mainstream sites, but you can still cross-post to all the other the alternatives and start building communities over there by cross-posting stuff like that.
And that's another thing. Then you have to start asking people to actually join this project. Anybody listening, contact the page, contact the channel, contact whatever you're watching on, and join the team, because we need you. We need the numbers. We don't need a tiny, bunch of faggots talking shit in a circle. We need people.
Is that right?
You can't. you just got banned from YouTube.
Yeah, you did, dude. You're an idiot.
Oh, you're allowed to like you have your personal defects. You're still allowed to actually swear on YouTube. It's allowed.
You can't say what you just said though, Thor.
There's meanie words. You can't use meanie words.
There's a word. There's one certain word that I used the other day, and I was told about it. And I was halfway through the word and then switched it. But
I just want everybody to know that I support the regime, and I bow my head to the elite. So good enough. We're back on. Whatever. But yeah, but we can't go around like censoring ourselves. It doesn't work.
well, I agree with self-censorship being an issue, but I mean,
But if we get banned off the platform, what
I think you're paranoid, to be honest. Lovers, what's your opinion?
About what?
about your use of the F word? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, we're actually talking about me swearing now.
I don't know,
technically it's swear. It's technically speaking by law. It's like a hate word. So it's actually
yeah.
that's what YouTube would consider it.
I think it's not allowed.
So it's not really a cuss word.
No, it's not a curse word. But the thing is that YouTube highly disagrees with it, and if someone were to decide to go and report this video, it could possibly just take the whole channel down.
Well, then I'm going to just make make a channel called the F word, and it's just going to be A to C, just me swearing all the way, like 2 hours. Like, yeah, I don't support that kind of mentality. There should be like limits to freedom of speech now. Well, F to everybody who thinks that.
So it's not that there's
Let's
there
just
always
move.
should be limits of certain words. I mean, you can't.
But you do understand that this is just a temporary thing, that we're on our way to take control over these giant media moguls and rein them in and make them normal stuff again. And, all these elitist, powerful censor thingy. Like, it's North Korea, it's about to go away. It's not our future, I want everybody to put that thought in their heads.
I'm not following what you're saying, but yeah.
I'm saying that big fucking machine that's controlling everything and going amok needs to be reined in, and we're going to do it. Okay? Maybe not me and you, but me and somebody listening, trust me.
and you're going to accomplish this. What is your plan for this?
My plan is to get you to get it first, and then everything will just, solve itself.
He's the master engineer.
So I'm saying that, like, first of all, we need to use this community called Anonymous for what it was supposed to be used for, cooperation. And right now, like, it's the same, I'm not going to use a bad word, the same people all the time with the same opinions talking in the same circles. Am I wrong about that? Let's get some people who have some results to show in. Like, let's get some, like, operations in community whatever, and get all the details in the link, and, like, all links in the description, I mean, and all that kind of stuff, We're not being very productive nowadays, is my point.
Well, I mean, things stopped being productive years ago. I agree with you on that. That's for sure.
So let's not cry over it, and let's just fix it.
A lot harder said than done. But yes, I agree with you on that point.
And we have some new tactics and plans we can put into work. So yeah, but just getting people in, everybody wants a voice, at least most people. And, that's the project, giving ourselves an actual voice. You have a plan, you have resources, whatever, come in and talk to us. Join the team.
All right.
Okay, so today is World Refugee Day, guys. It's actually a good thing to talk about, considering that refugees apparently aren't safe anywhere anymore, and the United States can extract them from any place.
Yep.
So Julian Assange in Ecuadorian embassy, Commander X.
Commander X being, the completed version of what they want to do with Julian Assange.
Yeah, well, that's why. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And yet you have freaking Anthony Blinken coming out here trying to make some emotional, sappy story about how, my ancestors fled this, and this, knowing full damn well that the U.S. creates more refugees than possibly any other entity. So it's wonderful to see all the hypocrisy rearing its ugly head again, as it did with World Press Freedom Day.
Yeah.
And Juneteenth, too. That was full of hypocrisy. Fuck that.
I'm just thinking that that's why the Commander X case is so relevant. Not just because he is like a famous revolutionary or whatever, but it's just that it's so relevant that apparently they can take people in London now from embassies, and they can just literally take them from Mexico too. They just send people in, like, wearing plain clothes, kidnap a person, take them to the USA and put them in a court. Like, the hell? So they can just come to my country.
According to what I know, Mexico actually extraditing or like gave him to the US.
Yeah, but I mean, it was Americans showing up right there.
Mm-hmm.
We have that
embassy official. Well, and not to mention, also, fucking going back to Julian Assange real quick, we all know this. He's not a fucking American citizen. He's not subject to that bullshit. The U.S. has, it does according to freaking Empire bootlickers, but the U.S. is clearly trying to gain international jurisdiction over the free press. I mean, it's so
when it comes to the terrorist charges he has against him, those would be internationally approved as such. That's the problem.
We're in the chat saying it too, that Julian was the president for Commander X and the rest of us, because we allowed that to happen to Julian. We didn't stand up against it. We did, but only by
Well,
tweeting and stuff. So yeah.
Well,
That's-
and
that's
the
why I'm
precedent
saying-
established by Julian's case for journalism as well, because not only does it establish the precedent for someone else to be extradited, but Judge Vanessa Baratzer literally agreed with every single point made by the prosecution, except for the fact that Julian Assange was in such poor mental health that he literally would kill himself if he had to face the U.S. prison system. But every other argument related to the Afghan war logs or the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act was agreed by Judge Vanessa Baratzer to the point where she used a literal CNN article, a fucking CNN article, to quote unquote debunk concerns over the UC global spying and a CIA front. So,
There's nothing to
yeah,
discuss
this
about
is
this
open
case
to
at all.
happen again.
Julian Assange, he was an editor, and he gave news that he got from other sources out, and none of that news was actually secret or any like big government whatever. And this is in front of charges. They don't actually connect to anything real as such. Number two. The whole discussion is getting too old. We're walking him out, people. You know, the ones with balls enough to understand what I'm talking about, we're getting together, we're picking a date, and we're actually just walking him out of that prison. Thank you.
My question is, do you really think it's going to be that simple?
Apparently.
You really think they're going to just announce the day? You think they're going to just let everybody know exactly where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen?
Well,
that's not what I said. I said we are walking
know.
him out. We know where he is right now, okay? And we are a lot of people. And if we just get organized enough, we can walk him straight out. That's what I'm saying. Do you get it?
I don't think you're getting what I'm saying is a problem at all.
Well, I don't think we're talking about the same thing. I'm talking about doing community action and like getting together and walking the guy out of prison. You're talking about some legal blah 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 blah.
I'm not talking about anything like that.
If it was up to me, I would just put a bullet in all those people's heads. You know, but that's not.
Dude, stop, dude.
We're not encouraging anything of that.
I'm allowed to say my opinions. If it's up to me, that's what it is. My opinion. You have a problem?
You cannot
You have a problem?
You can't say that. You cannot say that here on all these streams and stuff like that, dude. You cannot do what you just did.
Go fuck yourself.
I don't care. You're an idiot.
Hey, NSA, we don't agree with what Mr. Officer said here, so thank you very
Not
much.
even a little bit,
Just
dude.
that
You
out there.
cannot say that on live stream like that. Like you can't.
Like, I'm really crying inside for you. Okay.
You don't need to cry inside for me.
Oh, thank you.
Lovers, he cannot be saying stuff like that on stream, bro. You cannot do that.
Luby.
I knew that was gonna happen too. That's the funny thing. I called it.
Well, here, you want to count down to, and then the second one.
he's going to rage at you. Okay, you know that, right? Because it's visible on the screen.
I don't.
Oh, I know.
Dude, I don't give a shit.
Oh, if I had the mod rights, I would have done the same thing. Okay.
How do you get the monorace?
Jitsi does it random,
Ah.
so...
It randomly gave it to me when Steve left. I don't care, dude. Like, you can't fucking threaten to. Oh man.
Yeah,
he
bro,
doesn't realize what he says can be used against him and us, and if he does, then I don't know what else more to say about it. But
Yeah, he can't.
it's
No.
just you can't fucking.
Kick him again. He's back. Kick him again. He's back.
I mean, there has to be a fucking diplomatic solution to this, but
You just said fuck. You just said fucking. You just swear. I heard you said
that's
fucking.
not the
That's
word.
not the same
That's
thing.
not the issue. That is not the
You need
issue,
to
bro.
kick yourself off now because you sweared.
No, dude, do you really not understand what the issue is
dude.
right now? Do you like really not comprehend this, dude? It's like, dude, you really don't. Do you lack that much comprehension? Like seriously, like you have no comprehension of what the issue is right now.
We've been swearing on ABB for the last
No,
8
dude,
years.
dude. I want
It's
you to
not
understand
the
that you saying
swearing,
that,
dude. It
you
was the
saying
word
that-
that you used that is used frequently to well, in the past it was frequently used to talk about cigarettes, but it's now used to attack gay people. That's
It's considered a hate crime whenever you use it, dude. Like every time.
So,
And also the
we,
thing that you just said before you got kicked out of the chat. you
I'm
cannot
gonna
say that.
smoke some cigarettes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna smoke six cigarettes, lots of cigarettes, and enjoy it.
Okay.
You got props?
I don't know. You tell me, Thor.
Well, in some context, that would be considered very unhealthy to like tell people to smoke cigarettes. Like,
Okay.
yeah. But still, it's protected by the First
You
Amendment.
really lack the comprehension.
But you really lack the comprehension. Like, I could say the same thing back to you. I'm talking about freedom
you
of speech.
couldn't.
That's so hard. It
No, you
doesn't
couldn't.
get limits.
You can't say that.
Doesn't get limits.
Can't.
You have to understand that. That's what me and like Mark and people like that have been working for years. Free speech.
Yeah, but you see, seriously, the more you talk, the more you're just proving that you lack the comprehension of anything. That why there's a problem with what you just said.
Okay, we heard you the first time. That is enough.
I don't think so.
This isn't the cancel culture show.
Okay.
Okay, is this a discussion or this fight? I don't know.
I'm not fighting. I'm just making some points.
I'm just trying to tell him how much of an idiot he is.
I don't want to like
And
push
I'm
away all the
telling you that
listeners.
this is
So
the cancel culture show, and if you keep that up, I will kick you.
You can't. Though.
Anyway, back to the subject. Commander X and his defense. And yes, we should see that documentary, and why it's hidden online is kind of strange. We should find it right away and see if it didn't actually trigger anything. And we should make a big bravado out of it and make him seem more like an activist than some evil hacktivist, because I don't think he actually did that DDoS thing, to be honest.
yeah, I know, and we couldn't even confirm it if he did, right? I mean, this would be like. So.
Yeah, so how can they confirm it then? How did they know? So,
No, and I think you should always argue innocence. I mean, yeah. They will have to come up with any proof, if there is any proof. Until then, you just say you never did it.
But I've heard everything now, but I don't think he actually did that attack. I think he took credit for it, and that was a dumb idea.
Maybe. I just know they want him for some reason, right?
But painting him as some evil activist, now evil hacktivist or evil hacker type thing, that is just stupid, because he's clearly not that. He's been an activist, he's been a homeless activist and stuff like that, but he's not a hacker.
He's been active as an activist since the 1970s. I've seen the articles about it.
Yeah.
There's a whole history. Like, he has a whole history, and he's like, he's an influential speaker in that sense too, and it makes sense to want to shut him up. Like, he has, like the documentary
thing. That's pretty much what this is about. He's a personality they don't like, and they want to shut him up.
Well, anyone with a following and influence, yes, they want to shut up and make them silenced and make sure that their voice can't get out there. And I think, as you said before you went off further, I mean, the actual documentary film, I think you're spot on that when that was released, I think that kind of triggered a cascading effect of his arrest. But I also think that they are going to use X's past statements about being friends with Julian and going to use it against Julian, and also use their two little entrapment moles, Siggy and Sabu, against Julian as well. And they're going to connect all those events together and say see, Julian's this big, scary, spooky hacker, and we're right, and he hacked into or helped Manning hack into the database, even though Manning had access to it and did not need to hack it at all. I mean, that's beside the point. That's what they're going to use. That's the narrative that the government is going to use against this. And I think it's very clear because they threatened Manning. They tried to get Manning to testify against Julian. They threatened Jeremy to try to get Jeremy to testify against Julian.
Yeah.
And now there's charges against BB that are sealed in the U.S. And the only way that the charges would be sealed in the U.S. for BB, in my opinion at least, I mean, I guess it could be related to the Texas stuff that he was involved in, but it just, BB's charges came out just after X got arrested. It just seems like it's the whole cascading effect of one thing after the next that's happening, in my opinion at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it was interesting. It comes together when he's just about to release the documentary, and also we were expecting an outcome on the whole extradition thing with Julian. Because the Americans appealed, right? Like the judge said, like, yeah, we can't be extradited, medical reasons. Americans appealed, and like 2 weeks before X was arrested, we were supposed to get an outcome on that from the judge, and then Stella said, like, yeah, there is no official deadline, so they can just do it any moment they want. And then we see X getting arrested, who is like a super vocal supporter of Julian, and someone who actually just got access to like the mainstream with documentaries and everything. So yeah, it makes sense from like a PR perspective to get him locked up, silenced, so to speak. Just not sure if it has the effect they wanted, but yeah.
Yeah, at least we should paint a real, honest picture of this person instead of, the skewed picture they have now. We can tell everybody who he actually is and what it's actually done, and yeah, maybe lighten the whole thing a bit. But yeah, right now we're letting them control the narrative 100%.
Yeah, but like to me, it's far more worrying. Like when you talk about refugees, that he was a refugee. He fled to Mexico for and requested asylum. And especially like on World Refugee Day, we're supposed to like mention that. He was an official refugee against the United States.
Right, and in that video that Glory aired earlier, or Steve, one of the two, I'm not sure who put it up. It shows that he had a card that said he was a refugee and had refugee asylum status in Mexico. So he did have status of asylum in Mexico.
As far as I saw, he had like a temporary thing that was due to like pending application, but I never saw a document to actually say that he got the full asylum. Only that application, and that was something confirmed by Jay Liederman. So
well, he showed a card in the video. It says it's like a.
It was his green card. Yeah.
What, is that what it was?
Yeah, it basically declared his status as a humanitarian refugee, and he showed it on a few interviews, actually including his show. X Speaks, but after he made the comeback. So in that month or so period before he got kidnapped, when he came back planning to re-up his show, I think it was on the first episode back he did, after he thought he was done doing interviews, he one of the things he showed was his green card.
Well, the thing is that this is a public, or this is a matter of public record, and you can actually go in and request information for the State Department. You can also contact Mexican consulate and ask them for this information. So, yeah, this should be, something that you could find an official record of, so we could stop like guessing. I suggest somebody get on that right away. Anybody in contact with his actual lawyer?
Yeah, well, we tried to like have like arrange a meeting with him today, but that didn't work yet. But we should be having that any moment now. So like an in-person
send him
meeting.
a request. Send him a request for that information. We need to have that confirmed. If it was an actual asylum, if he had, his refugee status and everything in order, or if that was just like pending stuff and paperwork that Mexico could turn in like 2 days if they wanted to. And it does sound like that was what happened, that they actually just let it slide for a while, and then when America requested him, they just gave him up.
Yeah, and you know what the weird thing is? That the Mexican government actually offered like asylum to Julian, right, in the past, recently.
Yeah, that might have been a trap.
Well, it was the timing with which they did that, though, because they AMLO offered Julian asylum in between the time that his extradition was denied and before his bail hearing after that. So the problem with that was in court, they basically used that asylum offer against him to paint him as a flight risk. So it ended up actually hurting him more than helping him, because it was one of the reasons why he was denied bail, even though extradition was initially denied.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, and that's a good thing to point out. So it wasn't really in his favor. It could have been used against him, and it was used against him. But I mean, if he would have ended up going to Mexico, I mean, the same thing probably would have happened that just happened to X. Because Mexico is right next to the U.S. Come on. That's the last place that you want to go for asylum from the U.S. I mean, they have overreach right into Mexico. I mean, when I heard X was going to Mexico, I was thinking, in my back of my head, I was thinking something like this would eventually happen, because the U.S. and Mexico, I mean, they work hand in hand with immigration. So why wouldn't they work going after somebody who fled?
Not to mention the fact that the whole country is pretty much ruled by drugs and the cartels. So you just hand them enough money and do anything you want anyway.
So we do information request to the State Department. I can't because I'm not a U.S. citizen. Somebody else acted.
You want what again?
We want information on his immigration status and, all the things pertaining to this asylum thing in Mexico, of course.
Man, that'll come out in the courts from his actual lawyers.
If we actually want some, foresight here and be able to help, we want that information right away. We're the ones who's going to be like painting a picture of him in the media anyway, and an alternative one to the one they're trying to paint. So we should give them the whole truth and nothing but,
Yeah.
Right now there's a lot of speculation going around, and I don't want to help, spread not confirmed information, disinformation, misinformation, whatever type. That's not my job. I want confirmed information so we can work on that.
Yeah, that's why it's also very hard to give updates right now because we just don't have much new information. So everything we say is just like speculation on the X case. Um, but yeah, like what I do know for sure is that he's got a good defender, and it is his choice to add more defenders to that. But his assigned lawyer, he got very lucky with. So
Yeah, I actually checked him out. He has done several high profile things, and like a bit activist category.
yeah,
So he looks to be the man for the job.
even Jay Liederman said because I asked him because there was still in the media there were still all these rumors that Jay Liederman was going to defend him and stuff, and so I messaged him about it and was asking like, yeah, what's going on, right? Are you going to defend him? And he said like, no, well, access this public defender who is actually like a top lawyer he could get. He got very lucky with it. So yeah, the rest is up to him. I would say maybe add like attack advisor to it or something, but for the rest, yeah.
What was the name again? I forgot.
His current lawyer is that Jay Rorty guy.
Yeah, that's the name. Yeah, I just googled him, and you see his face right away, and it's a big profile. So,
he did also like police misconduct and everything he did, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the whole, us, possibly, helping the wrong side here by making this guy seem like some big hacker personality type. As far as I know, he's only been like connected to us peripherally, and he's not really been part of the quote-unquote hacking operations, but he has been a prominent activist. And I do remember the whole thing about bulldozing homeless shelters and stuff like that. And yeah, that's the part we should be emphasizing, that he is actually out there trying to help people and not some nefarious hacker.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and an activist helping out the homeless mainly.
Yeah, I mean, he was a homeless man himself, He had motivation behind it, of course.
Yeah.
But again, you remember that stuff. The police actually had fucking bulldozers and stuff, and just like they demolished the whole like tent town. It was probably early 2000s, something like that. I remember it was all over the news, and he was one of the persons who was like, part of that prominence in that context. So yeah, an activist.
Yeah.
Yeah, standing up for like people's rights to actually exist. People who can't, do anything but pitch a tent, and then they get the fucking tent destroyed too, and it's no way to live a life. And yeah, from my perspective, that it's crazy that people can just sit apathetically and watch stuff like that happen and not put systems into place to make sure that doesn't happen. I could name some from my own country, but I'm not going to. People should get this already. But yeah. Any good ideas?
Well, you can run a PR campaign on that. Like instead of like picturing him as the anonymous hacker.
We can do a whole documentary thing and collect material, go all the way back to the beginning, and show people what he's done and who he actually is. Maybe we'll reach somebody with some sort of influence somewhere, hopefully. Just a thought.
Guys, there's like a lot of dead air. Is there anything else we would need to mention, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we mentioned everything. I don't have any other additional topics that I've seen, so.
Yeah, well, I do.
Our favorite FBI informant did a little press tour on Fox News where he said to expect more cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure. And if y'all don't know who I'm referring to, it's Hector Xavier Monsager, aka Sabu the Little Fucking Rat. So,
He's not so little, but yeah, he's definitely a rat.
yeah, nothing like the FBI saying that the FBI is going to commit more cyber attacks. Lovely.
Yeah, or it's going to be used in some kind of political context. But we're supposed to be expecting aliens to land too, as far as I know.
Hey, it is interesting that Sabu is suddenly going like all public and things, by the way. Just saying. That they're like boosting him as a public figure.
Well, yeah, they always do that. He's the fucking mainstream media's favorite black hat hacker. Every time they need someone to come on, it's like, hey, yo, 60 Minutes, who can we get to freaking boost up Silicon Valley? Oh, I know. How about that hacker dude, Sabu? Yeah, he's a good one.
I know a
dickheads.
bunch of people who should take blame for that because they've been talking about this Sabu guy for fucking years, and I'm like, don't fill my ears with like bullshit like this. Mark, you're one of these people. You should take some of the blame for making him a celebrity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I'm
true.
not even kidding, but like it's just ironic.
It's true. It's true. We're guilty of that. Like that's true. Yeah. Because we should have just shut up about him. Like say like this rat. Forget about him. You should not be like in anything, any way associated with Anonymous. Like
He should be a figment of the past.
yeah, like a bad memory.
Like a ghost.
Yeah. But yeah, we made him famous. Like every single person in the activist community around Anonymous knows. He says like, "Sabu is that fucking traitor, right?" Yeah.
A wise man once said, "There is no such thing as bad publicity."
I say that all the time. That's why I want the haters. I love them.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn your haters into elevators.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true. In marketing, it's very true. I mean, any publicity is publicity, right? Bad and good publicity. is how it
Well,
works.
at least we have a personality we can market as the good guy now. He's already out there, so we might as well take advantage of it.
The thing is, you want name recognition, you want brand recognition, and if he reaches the point that everyone instantly knows who this person is and affiliates his face with it and stuff, and then afterwards he can create his own brand with it. He just has to speak enough times in public and brainwash people into all loving him, and then he's like super famous. But even now he can already do like commercials for whatever. People know his face and his name now, so he can just do commercials for like commercial products. Make a lot of money. Like, this is the thing. He's a brand now. People know who he is. Whether he's hated or not. I mean, Donald Trump was like the most hated in the media, and he still was president. So yeah.
Yep.
So branding works.
Yeah. So
he wanted it too. Like Donald Trump wanted it. He couldn't get like he couldn't get his own stuff to air on channels like CNN, so he made sure that these people talked shit about him. So he only had to say 1-2 words, and there was enough for his followers, right? And he was mentioned again on air. It's just brilliant campaign strategy. Like he was the only one mentioned. Yeah. I mean, he was the only one mentioned on all the channels. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what people want, controversy. It's not about the intellect of whoever runs the news. It's about the audience and what they want to hear. And a good broadcaster, he gives the audience what they want, and they want pulp fiction. They want bullshit. They want Trump and BS, whatever comes out his mouth.
Yeah. It's simple.
What can we do with this knowledge? Can we make it work in our advantage? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
We just don't have like the professional PR people, I guess, to do these kind of things yet.
Or you need the net of boats,
Yeah, need a net of boats.
a big old net.
We-
Well, I think
to learn how to
it's
sail
time
again.
to start, reaching out to more professional people and saying that, we need you to help us because you have this position, you have these resources, etc., etc., etc. I'm sure we'll find somebody with a conscience somewhere.
Well, I remember the whole Stop Act.
Afraid.
Well, I remember the Stop Act 2 protests. We had PewDiePie, right? So we reached out to PewDiePie. He made like 2 broadcasts about Stop Act 2, and they had this whole petition thing, and he brought like 100,000s of signatures in alone. Right? Like 100,000s. Not even
Exactly.
kidding. Yeah, he did it alone by just doing a 5-minute broadcast about Article 13 and about copyright directive. So you can see that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people we could reach out to and ask for this stuff.
Yeah, you need these people. Actually, but yeah, you need to be. You need to actually have them understand that what the risk is for them. The famous, journalists, if they're still there, actually.
What the enemy has on us is efficiency, and what that efficiency is based in is motivation. And what that motivation comes from is, of course, the money getting paid to these people to do their job. We're not paying anybody to do anything, and we lack motivation and cohesion and such. So, I wish we had enough money to start paying everybody, so to speak.
Well, I had this complaint about the alternative media before, like the mainstream media pushes out something, and what the alternative media does, or the activist media, is like start talking about that, what the mainstream media pushed, and just disagreeing with everything. But they don't understand what the mainstream media does is they bad advertising is advertising too, right? Their link gets pushed. The alternative media reads that link. The listeners of the alternative start reading those links and still get the mainstream story. That's all they want. They want a discussion about what they said, and that pretty much reduces the alternative, the activist media, to the comment section on a news site.
Yeah. So we need to push our own narrative, so to speak.
You need. If you're actually alternative broadcasters, you need to come up with your own research, your own research, your own stories. You need to push a narrative.
I have a controversial one. We're walking Assange out of prison. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but we're actually doing that. But we need enough people, to actually swamp the whole city area and the police station itself. Like a few thousand people in and out of doors and windows and everything. And then we simply just ask the police to stand down. They won't have any choice. They can't find all of us anyway. And then we'll just walk him out of prison. Is that PR or what? At least I have an idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I get the feelings of the one who can do that. So, yeah.
We can at least start launching it as an idea, and see if people don't pick up on it.
I think you're not the only one who has the feeling that actually, like, I just want to have the guy out of prison no matter what. He's like, you can argue that we have to at least give the legal system a chance for now. But if we lose everything,
Yeah, but it's already lost. We already know that he's being kept in prison for no good reason. He's essentially being arrested for practicing freedom of press, and that is extremely problematic. And it's time we put our foot down. If we don't, this will turn into that fucking Stasi regime we're always complaining about. This is not the Nazi Germany or North Korea, but it's actually turning into it. The whole fucking planet, that is. I would rather die than live in this, bullshit. To be honest.
I don't necessarily disagree with you there, Thor.
So let's fight.
I know everyone wants it. Everyone wants to get this guy out of a prison, either by like legally or yeah, in another way. Like yeah, of course we all
And
want
it would
that. Like,
be-
but yeah,
It'd be a great victory for the people as such, empowering some feeling of
like I mean, you can see what is happening to the guy. The guy is innocent. He is locked up in a prison. You can see his health deteriorating in front of us. He's basically being smeared in public. He can't defend himself. Like he doesn't get winter clothes in the winter. He can pick them up in June, right? He gets like he has to write his defense on a laptop, and he gets a laptop with the buttons glued down. Like you know what they're doing to this guy. Like this is complete torture. What is going on, psychologically and physically now, because he's put under stress constantly in smears, and he's not able to do like sports and stuff. Get outside of his cell for a long term. So his body is now deteriorating. His brain capacity is deteriorating. Like he was in court, and he was even unable to remember his own birth date. Yeah, this guy is one of the smartest guys I've ever seen. Like. That's just you can see what they're doing to him, and of course everyone gets the feeling like I want this guy out no matter what, because we see him dying in front of us, and we're all just accepting this. His lawyers is like we need to first go to like give the legal system a chance, and after that then it is up to
we
us.
gave the legal system a chance, and you see the corruption. This is so open. Every single detail about this case is open and public. There is no way they can like twist this into him being some kind of criminal.
Well,
so we're walking him out of prison. That's like, if we don't, we lost.
Yeah, so I know we're not really even allowed to say that on air, but I don't disagree with your opinion, because if this legal system fails and we are going to accept, if I see this guy die in front of me, then I accept a new rise of fascism in Europe that is similar to World War II. That's just how it is. Like we lived under that. My grandparents told me about that stuff, and that is the same.
But
exact
funny
thing.
You should say that. I had a granduncle, the brother of my grandfather, who was in a concentration camp because he was fighting the Nazis. So let's just say I have some motivation in my blood. I'm not going to be watching this shit.
No, you can't, because you're accept. This is what they did. Like the first thing they did, these Nazis, was burn the books and the newspapers. It was called the lying press, Lügenpresse. They burned everything and they destroyed the free press, and that was the rise of fascism. That's when it started. And if you accept this in Europe, we're on European soil. Like the UK is still Europe. You can say it's not European Union; they're still Europe. Like Norway is Europe too. Like, if we accept this, we are accepting the rise of fascism. Simple. The next step will be obvious, because the right to freedom of expression is being targeted already. Freedom of assembly is being targeted already. They're banning protests. Like, what? For how long are we going to accept this? That's the thing.
The thing is that it's so much slicker today. 100 years ago, it was like brutal and kind of obvious. Now it's like you're supposed to sing along and not care about anything. They done more psychology on us, so to speak. So that's why it's more apathy, and they know how to trigger or untrigger people. So
I'm not going to say I'm not going to say like literally I'm going to bust him out of prison, but I will be in London to stop them from physically bringing him to the USA. Definitely.
Yeah, but that's kind of what this is about. But if we get enough people to actually swamp the police station itself and just walk in there, we can just take over, just ask for the keys. More or less tell them to stand down and saying we're getting him out of prison. And we're not asking any of the police officers to assist us, we're just asking them not to get in our way. And that is, of course, in their best interest. And we're not going to be hurting anybody, but we're just going to be too many people to be dealt with. And, this needs to be done in a bit of a stealthy way, so they don't have like thousands of police officers waiting for it. You get it.
Mhm.
Nobody's listening anyway. We have like 100 viewers, and they're all in the echo chamber. So, yeah, hit us up, guys. Join the fun.
It's a nut house.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, if that's everything, then
I guess we covered the topic.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we can be done with it. We'll go live again tomorrow. Fine.
All right, everybody.
Fun.
Yep, freecommanderx.org is the website for updates. At
Did you get an SSL
freecommander.
cert for that yet, Lovey?
Say that again?
Did you get an SSL cert for that yet, Lovey?
Oh yeah, I do. I should fix that.
Yeah, you need to get a fucking SSL cert. It's free,
Well,
by the way.
I know, but I'm using the
swearing
cloud.
too much now. But everybody listening, if you want to get engaged, contact the page, channel, or whatever you're listening on, and join us, because we need everybody on this team.
Yep. Also, the account for updates is at freecommanderx_ on Twitter. And make sure always to spam neuter your pets and politicians, and don't forget about the lobbyists.
Special interest and think tank groups. Yeah.
Okay. We're expanding who gets neutered.
Why not
Everyone.
the bankers as well?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we forgot about royalty.
No.
Okay, so make sure to spam neuter your politicians, lobbyists, bankers, think tanks, academia fucks who don't know anything, military contractors, and
That's a long list.
Well,
and
I'm going to
corporate
suggest
PR
we-
agents.
I'm going to suggest we just get rid of them. Why do we even have politicians? We could be making decisions online. We make decisions all day, thousands of decisions all day. Why can't those be political decisions? Direct democracy now.
Okay. Glory, can you do the song again?
Fine.